Players in the global oil supply industry have welcomed Malaysia's proposal for a regional oil stockpile and sharing mechanism to ensure regional energy security. The private sector is expected to be involved in the initiative. The move is good, says Maritime Network CEO Datuk Jeyendran Ramasamy. But it will be important to ensure that existing regulations for all parties involved, from port authorities and operators to shipping agents and forwarding agents, are strictly enforced. This will ensure proper documentation for the cargoes prior to their arrival at a port to their storage and final discharge, he said. Accurate declarations involving cargoes at each point will ensure that there are no discrepancies between the records and actual status or the quality of the cargo between the time of its arrival to its discharge. This will ensure smooth operations as well as prevent any leakages in terms of tax revenues for the country, he said.
Can I have your opinion on the proposed oil stockpiling framework? At the recent Asean meeting, it was suggested that the private sector be involved in the stockpiling arrangement. What is your take on this?
At the moment, we have the facilities in Pengerang and Tanjung Langsat which have been running by dialogue. So that is a private sector too. So if you ask me personally, if the regulator regulates all the framework, I think many more private sector will come in to do the stockpiling, either in Tanjung Langsat or either in Pengerang. Because looking at Tanjung Langsat, they have the facilities bringing the upstream cargo, refinery and downstream. So it's good facilities for us to capture the bunkering industry.
But you recently said there were some challenges shipping agents are facing in terms of lack of regulations. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, because you see, we've been coming on kind of issue on the declaration, submission. All these are the framework by the regulator. If it regulate it firmly on the Acta Custom 1967, which until now I see have no changes. So we are still sticking on that SOP, on that Acta. I said that should be really frame it and probably give it a circular to all the agents to mitigate it correctly without any discrepancy, and also we can save our whatever loophole is leaking on the tax revenues.
So basically you are saying the regulations are there.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's not being enforced.
Exactly, because if you enforce it correctly based on the Acta, I think we all are on the same page.
So what happens to a shipping agent when people don't follow those rules?
Wow, you see, I would say the liabilities of the shipping agents on tanker vessels are very, very high risk. Compliance, due diligence, risk, and KYC. You have to mitigate it correctly to make sure there is no any regulation which we are not been following.
You're talking about the bill of lading, eh?
Yeah.
You want to say something about that?
Yeah, you see, I give you a simple example. If you are traveling, what do you bring by yourself? Your
Passport.
The passport is your identity. When you are going to a next destination, probably to one more country, you have an arrival card. The arrival card has to match with your identity in the passport. If mismatch, do you think that the authority is going to allow you to pass the immigration? I don't think they're going to allow you until that has been rectified. Similar to this as well. If you are bringing a cargo with this grant, subsequently, the grant you have to be granted in Malaysia as well because you're landing your product for temporary. So the Malaysia will grant you a temporary station. That is where you call custom aid. So when you are declaring the custom aid, the bill of lading has to be matched. If it's mismatched, then agent will have an issue on the auditing when the regulators are into it.
So I see there are two issues here. One, the person who's bringing in the cargo did not fill up the forms properly. All the documentation were done, and then the customs allowed it to go through despite not having fulfilled all the documentation.
If you ask me personally, the regulators has their perfectly framework in the system. We as a consumer, based on the regulators' system, we as a consumer. So whatever in the details has been formatted in the system, the question has to be answered. So if you leave it blank, you cannot bypass. There is no bypass over the system. We have beautiful system. I mean, the regulators have a beautiful system, and it's very, very transparent. So I feel that if the details are filled up correctly as what the bill of lading are, all this issue will not be raised.
So you are saying, along the line, the documentation, someone who's supposed to fill up those things have not been putting all the information?
100%.
And
100%.
that affects the shipping agent.
Absolutely, because you have to understand that the agent are the first person to know for what is the purpose the vessel is calling. And we have all the authorities which need to mitigate the ship and make sure they are OCIMF approved, and the question Q88 is tally with the OCIMF rules and tally with all the authority are in line, which the priority is Jabatan Laut, which under Marine Department. Without the Marine Department approval, the ship is not allowed to step into our water. That's mandatory. Second comes the regulators. We have immigrations, we have customs, we have port health, and we have police bantuan. All these are the regulators which you need to pass prior the ship to berth into the Malaysian water. That is the norm. 100% has to be followed. And all the document has to be tallied as per the bill of lading. As per the Q88 of the vessel, particulars has to be keyed in the system as well.
So where is it going wrong?
You see, the gap is, I would say, when you are bringing a cargo to a country, Malaysia. Example, Malaysia. You are bringing, let's say you are from elsewhere. You're bringing a cargo to Malaysia. Malaysia has their regulators to say you are bringing cargo, what you needed to be filled up. Just give it that. In now era, you can just Google what is K8. You can Google. Anywhere in the world you can know whatever you know. Even you go and check GPT, maybe check GPT will say, okay, custom address, customs phone number, any inquiry you can put it to them and ask what is the chronology of doing this kind of shipment. We are not asking anything above the law.
So any of your clients have bypassed this and have,
Yeah, that's what happened on one incident. We have it now. We still trying to mitigate to get a solution for that. apparently the declaration of the forwarding agent doesn't tally with the bill of lading which reported of the incoming. So you are coming with your passport and you are using a different identity.
I see. I see.
Do you understand? And that I am a bit puzzled how the system could accept it. Back the days when during manual, if you have to present the bill of lading in hand for them to endorse it, the trimmer. In this era, we have online system which you have to give. And I'm puzzled, how could they approve the document? The bill of lading, the actual grant coming from Brazil, is now missing of the cargo which in Malaysia. If you ask me in a layman way, this is still pending. I wouldn't know when the customs is going to knock my door for clarification.
So, your cargo person who brought in the cargo could have deliberately avoided in order to avoid tax. Is that?
I'm not in a position to say that, but going on the flow as what the regulator has given since 1967, it match as what you are saying. It match. It has to. Because when you are coming with 34 and you are going out with 118, and wouldn't you want to know what is the balance of 80? It can be a rotten apple inside, but you still need to have the specification. Once you get the specification, then you have the tariff. Where are you standing on the duty?
So now you see with the oil situation worldwide, you see the government has to become more alert now.
Very much alert, man. We are on a signal. We are on a red flag alert because you see, if this kind of cargo are moving in Malaysia, where do we stand? We are actually number one in Asia country for this kind of resources. So if the private sector is bringing the cargo in and having this kind of facilities for us, beautiful facilities in Tanjung Langsat and Pengerang refinery, blending, storage, you have 3 categories. If you click one of the category, what you want to do, it will automatically ask you when you want to sail, hey, can you upload me the certificate of quality recently? Because to determine the tariff of the duty. Very simple. All are documentation. If you don't have the accountability of your documentation, then you can't see anything. When you're buying a foreign car and you're bringing into Malaysia, all the specification has to be there. If there's one specification doesn't click, hey, this been cheated, man. I don't want this item. Not for me, I think. It has to be 100% of the specification. As how our ID, 100%. That's not 99.9. It's 100% with your fingerprint.
So what options does the shipping agent have? Does he take action against the terminal or does he take action against the forwarding agent?
What am I doing? What we are mitigating now? We are telling the actual person who brought in the cargo to solve this and make it tally with what we have declared inside. Make it tally first. Then probably they can cut the bill, do a new set bill of lading, ask the forwarding agent to re-declare it, following as what our manifests are, and then customs will determine that and will approve. Once that are approved, the first layer, then you go second layer of what have they done with the cargo. What cargo have they done? Because you see, when you go crude, on the customs form, there is a code called 2709. That code as strictly says, export, you have a duty of 10%. Crude. That means when you do crude to crude, it's already like a processing. It's two different country of crude, and you're having different. One is 40 degree, maybe one more 30 degree, you have 70 degree playing a flow on the charts and everything. So that can determine for our losses on our nation losses due to we have crude as well. They are floating with transshipment. We are floating for export. If they declare that as an import, our mileage will go up because you have oil now. Our trading house can go up. That's how traders work. The more you have, the more holding power. If you're holding power in the transshipment area, we are lost. We are lost because our price is going to drop. Because you already have a 1,500,000 is going, and 18,000 going to Singapore. Just a ready refined product. But on us, we have raw material, need to go and sell, to do a refine. That is going to be another 10, 15 days. But I have a spot ready cargo for 100,000 for bunker, pump, refine. So that's where we need to know what is the cargo. Crude to crude, you pay 10%. If you refine and comes out as a ready product HSFO, then you have 40 cents per liter. So all these are mandatory by the Akta Sakstam 1967. Mandatory. You have to pay that. There's nothing. You see, if you are buying a Kimani's crude or any crude from Malaysia, if you want to do a local, you have to pay tax. If you are exporting, free tax. When you are exporting, free tax. When you want to do internal, like how they are doing the blending, you have to pay 10%. If we have to pay 10%, how about the principal who using the facilities? They have to pay 10% too, I think. It's fair, right? Because it's in the book. The book says 10%.
Where is that? When you are in a situation like this, what happens to the product, the cargo? Where does it sit?
Okay. As what we see on this particular shipment, they commingle, they blend, question mark. I wouldn't know what's happening. That is the reason we put up emails every day to them saying, hey, give us the document, what has been the end cargo. If you are bringing 34,000 with a short tank capacity about 45,000, you can just put in one tank. But when you're circulating in individual 6 tank, your intention is what actually? To make money or to make a condemnation of the cargo? I don't think you want to make that kind of risk. So you have a good quality oil. Voice out, what is the quality of the oil for the customs, for the regulators to pin you in which position are you in? Are you on the 10% or are you on the 40 cents per liter, whichever is greater on the refined product?
All this is happening in the middle of the war in Middle East.
Yeah.
Does it have an effect? Has it caused this additional situation, or it has been happening all along?
You see,
And it's
from
getting
what
worse.
I see, this happening before the war. Before the war. Because if you have a beautiful refinery position in Malaysia, I would love to. Because there is a facilities where I oversee in Tanjung Langsat that you can subcon the license holders license to do blending. First time I'm coming across. Because blending is strictly by refinery, SOP. Their own cargo and they refine because they do want. It's a very high risk. Very, very high risk because cargo can be contaminated because it's not your cargo. You are just watching on the oil majors cargo and the blending is from them. If the blending is from them, all the document has to submit to DOE for environment to see what's going on. What are they blending? Is it affecting our crude? The first person need to give the blessing, the blending is our oil major. I think you know who is our oil major. It's been in our history since day one. Since I born, I know them. So I would say that they have to ask some kind of opinions. Can this be carried out? No, because we are competitors. We have. If we don't have, we are okay. Cool. Because we can sell our product also if you think that is necessity when you're doing the blending. We have gas oil, we have diesel, we have crude.
Do the shipping companies face a loss when situations like this happen? Number one. And if you do rectify the situation, how do you think this is where the leakage comes? The
Yeah.
customs leakage.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell me more about this?
Let me tell you, basically, for what I have got the actual document and documentation for the said operation, I've given to the respective authority. The clients are not happy, basically. You know, the oil majors sitting over there are not happy with Maritime Network, probably. You know, because we are not trying to do something above the law. We are trying to do what are in the book. If the book says so as such, and we have to follow as that. We cannot be going above the book. So what we have asked is a question where tomorrow, if customs comes, any of the regulator comes and knock our door, we still have documentation to be proved. Because looking at the numbers of the duty of 10%, I'm looking at 60 million of 2 shipment based on the 300,000 tons. I cannot take 34,000 tons. I have to take the overall quantity. If I'm a regulator, because you misconduct that. Do you agree? Yeah, you misconduct it. So now we have to take the whole sum and pay the respective duty. And I think the Prime Minister will minimize our cost of diesel. You know, for businessmen and everything. Yeah.
So, do you think that the Malaysian government has to be even more strict with documentation processes, especially with the war going on and fuel is going to run short, the supply is going to be affected? So, do you think the government needs to be more strict now?
The government 100% has to be very, very strict to tighten up all these loopholes, because you have to know we have the best facilities. And if the documentation take in place 100%, we will not have any loopholes. So everyone will do their job and everyone will pay the respective duty or SST prior vessel departure from Malaysia port. That is a norm from the regulators. So with that, Malaysia will progress the revenue subsequently by collecting and mitigating the correct way of the documentation to be.
How much losses do you think the government could be having?
You see, if you are talking about the shipment, two shipment which on our side, we are talking about 60 million based on crude to crude on the 10%. If 40 cent per liter, that is going to be like 100 million, because that is already a refined product. It's ready to sell a product from crude and refined, much revenue. So with that, the respective authority will see the certificate of quality. Back the days, 1998, 1999, when I was handling ships, it's compulsory the samples need to send to pejabat kimia. Compulsory. Once the permit is out, then you're allowed to discharge. That is how they mitigate back the days. Now, by waiting and everything, and they have the systems working, so the system has to upload the document. If this document have uploaded in the system, no loophole to run away from SST and duty. No way. Yeah, that's been trying, because the system works as such. If you put storage, okay, clean. You're coming in and going out one-to-one. The second parameter, if you're going to do blending, then you have to give all the blending proposal, how you're going to do blending, what cargo and everything. Then after the blending complete, you have to upload the certificate of quality into the system for them to determine the duty. So once that out, you pay the duty, then you can take port clearance and sail the ship. Number 3, if you are doing commingle with the same country is not dutiable. With the same country, sitting in the transshipment area is not dutiable because you are coming with the same product, with the same country, is not an issue. By regulators, if they found, they will give you approval, a blanket approval. Yeah, approval, because since you don't want to take additional tank or whatever, you want to save costs. So the authority will definitely give you the approval. Everything, let me tell you, the Malaysian authorities are very flexible. They gives you everything what you want, but make sure you follow the flow. The flow is there, then you mitigate it correctly. Eventually, you are safe on all the regulation what have they implement in the industry.